Hello there, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be learning about Flexbox. So I created this basic website to just demonstrate how Flexbox work. So as the name implies, Flexbox, they are actually made up of different boxes that will be displayed differently depending on the devices that we are using. Either we are using tab, laptop, mobile phone, any devices. So let me press my F1, my F12 developer tool, then watch something. As I reduce the size, you can see that the display changed. So this is what we are going to be learning about in the course of this course, so that our style we we display differently depending on the screen or the devices which the user or the client is making use of to access our website. So let's get started. So I've opened my VS Code and I've created a div inside my HTML file. You can see the class is called container and the children are given different classes depending on the color. I wrote red, blue, green, and yellow. So these all div. Naturally, we know that every element, all these elements, our div by default is a block element. So let me put this tag here. Remember, we are using the internal styling sheet. So let's target the class, which is the container itself. Now I've targeted it. Then let's change the property called display. Let's give it a value of flex. So given the value of flex, we can see what just happened. Previously, we said we have some particular value for display. We said we have inline, we have the block, we have the inline block, and we also have none. So now we've already changed it to flex. So what Flexbox does is that all the children, all the flex items, these are actually called flex items. All the items will be displayed inside the div, inside the flex container, flexible container, to be displayed inside this flexible container. They'll be placed side by side until when there is no more space. It won't even go to the next place, to the next line. All of them will just be by default will be on this simple line. So for the flex box, we have to set the display property to flex. Then there's a property called gap. Let's give it to differentiate it. It's almost like similar to margin. So 5 pixel to separate every content in the file, every content in the website. Good. So there's equally a property called flex direction. And by default, this flex direction is rule by default, and it has several values. It has the column, it has the column reserve, it has rule, and it also has the rule reverse. So those are the value that it has. So by default, it is rule. This is the default position of rule. But if we want the other one, we can just put colon. Colon. You can see it is this. It is tagged on top of each other, on top of each other for the colon direction. And one very there is something important about flex direction, you need to know about the main axis and the cross axis. So I've opened somewhere to use to explain this. Good. So when your flex direction is row, your main axis is also roll in the sense that it is horizontal. That means that items are tagged inside your flex direction in this similar manner beside each other. Item one, item two, item three, item four, item five, and so on. So once when your flex direction is row, your main axis will be rule or horizontal at the same time, while the cross axis will be vertical. Then the reverse will be the case when the flex direction is colon. When the flex direction is colon, your main axis now will be vertical. Then your cross axis will be horizontal. So this is a very important concept in flex direction because we will be using it in order to set the different flex item on our website. And as we get along with the course, we will understand it better. So let me let's continue here. So let's change the default to row, row back. So I want us to differentiate each box very well so that we can actually identify them. And how are we going to make differentiate them? Let's use the color property. Let's tag each of them. You have the red, good. We are giving it a background color of red, good. Giving it the background color of red. The next one is blue. I'm also giving it a background color similar to blue. The next one is green. I'm giving it a background color of green. The last one is yellow. I'm giving it a background color of yellow. Good. We have been able to differentiate them like this. We'll be able to differentiate them, which is very, very good. Let's don't mind the content inside it. Let's make the content one. No, it's taken. Let's make the content one. Let's give this one two. Let's give this one three. Let's give this one four. Mind you, we'll come back to what I wrote before. So we are starting from the basics, so there's no need to also know about that. So we've already given it, we've changed the property. Good. So you can see how they are. So if I keep adding more color, they'll be stacked along each other. And again, we need a collective property for everything, right? We need a collective property for everything to tag all of them together. But we remember we learned about elements selector. So I think this is a good example to practice what we learned about. So let's give it a let's use the element selector. Remember they are inside their div, right? Inside this class name called container. We can use the child selector. Remember child selector just like this, and we can use the this tag to get all the direct child to picture the direct child. Then let's give them a width. Remember the width property. We have a width property. Let's give them a width property of 100 pixel. Good. Giving them a width of 100 pixel. You can see it being displayed here. At the same time, let's put the text align to be center, right? Text align. If you've forgotten some of all this, it's just revert back to the previous video. Text align. You can make it center. So that's appearing pleasant to in our eyes. Good. So let's continue further. So the other property, remember this is the flex flex direction rule. So once we apply this, it will increase the width. But assuming it was colon, it will increase the height. Don't worry, with time we'll I will explain more. So there's a property called justify content. Justify content. And it has several values. It has the flex start, it has the flexed end, it has the center, it has the space evenly, it has the space around, it has the space between. So let's start with the first property, flex start. By default, the flex start is the default position. That means that where the file or the flex item starts begins from. So if you do the flex end, it will move it to this other side. You can see if we now do the space evenly, it will create an even space here. So we can just practice any of the property. Let's just use the flex end. Good. So depending on what you plan to achieve, so everything or your design is based on how you see. It depends on what you plan to for your website to achieve. There's another property called flex wrap. What does flex wrap means? So flex wrap, as the meaning of wrap means. So if once you reduce the size of your screen, the content. It's not just about talking. Let's make example. Good. You see, once you reduce the size of your screen to a certain amount, some of the content on your file won't not be displayed again. You will not see it at all. Even despite the fact that you are tagging it, it will not appear. In order to prevent this, you can just use a property called wrap. But you can provide a value called wrap. So once you provide a value called wrap, as you are reducing the size, if so far if the size is not sufficient for it to accommodate another property, it will keep reducing, to keep reducing, to keep reducing. So it will keep reducing it. to keep reducing it. So you can see that it's now responsive. For example, maybe this is your desktop. Then for your iPad, it will be appearing as single, as double. And if you reduce the size to the barest minimum, it will tag them one after the other, one just in a horizontal position. So that's it. So there's a property called align content. Align content. Align content works with the cross axis. Remember what we learned about the cross axis. So the cross axis is the cross axis here. So it enables us to display our box, this flexible box along the cross axis. Remember this is the main axis. The main axis goes like this, while the cross axis is like this. So in order to have achieved this, maybe we want to put our item at the center. We want it to be at the center. For example, if you've noticed some application when it has to do with pricing, then you see that there may be three options or three boxes that they will just be displayed. Choose this one if you want this particular subscription. So you can use Flexbox to achieve this kind of layout. We'll just press center. The same thing, it has almost similar value with the rest. It has the start, the top, the center, the bottom. So we can put center. Now, once we've already put center, but we can see that nothing is occurring. It's still at the top. So remember that you have to provide a value for the height because the cross the the cross axis has to do with the height, the length. So the value that we are going to provide is height. The property is height. Then we just give it 75 h. You can see what happened now. So 75 HV stand for viewpoint height. That means that the height of your screen. So the viewpoint height is the height of your screen where you are watching, where you are checking the viewing the website from. So the normal size is 100%. So the view height, you just say that okay, let it just be this 75% of the view height. And the same thing still applies. So if you reduce the size, see the blocks it will still be reducing and thereabout. You can see still responsive website. So depending on whatever you want to do, you can see how easy it is reducing it. So another property I would like to also talk about, and mind you, this um align content works when you want your flexible item to be wrapped. What if you don't want it to be wrapped? You won't use this align content. There's another one called, let me comment this out. There's a property called align self. Align item. We should talk about the align self. Item. You can still put the same value. Let's use end now. Let's end. Let's use end. But you can see what is happening here. This align item works with no wrap. No wrap. Align item. And let's make it this time 100%. So it should be at the bottom, for example. 100%. Good. You can see now it's appearing at the bottom of our screen. we want our flexible container to be at the bottom of our screen. So that is what just happened. So these properties now are properties that we write to the container. That means that the parent container. There are other properties that we write to the child's container. Let me make an example of it. Let's use this one for example. There's a property called align safe. Align safe means that I want this one to have a different value compared to what was given to it from the parents. I want this child to act differently. So self, align self, then we'll give it the value of flex start. That means you start from the top. And you see, irrespective of the value that was given to the parents, that the parents, the value that was provided from the parent, this particular one acted differently because of the value that I added to it here. And mind you, this align save can only be written on the parent, on the child. You can see this is the child, why this is the parent div. So and you know flexible container works on flex works on div. For example, the parent must be a div and the children too must be divs so that it will take its effect. Now let me scroll up back. Let's go up back. Then there's another property called order. So the default value for order is 0. So if I let's make an example now. If I give this one the order of 1, let's see what will happen. Good. You can see the position changed. I gave it the order of 2. Sorry, even if I give it the order of 1, the position changed because all these other ones have the value of 2. Sorry, the value of 0 by default, but 1, once I give this one 1, what I'm trying to say is that I want this one to be displayed at the end, irrespective of the fact that it was the first thing that I wrote here. So using you can see the way we use our style sheet to manipulate our HTML. That is just what CSS is all about. Manipulating, designing. You can alter anything, you can hide anything using your CSS. So with this is just the introduction to to Flexbox. So in my next video, we'll be putting into practice all this information that we've learned, all these things we've learned. We'll be combining both the media query and Flexboard in order to create a responsive website. Somebody will be wondering that video is which one am I going to use? In order to achieve responsive website, we have media query that we can use. We have Flexboard. We have grid, which we are still going to learn about in some videos to come in the future. So we've learned about Flexbox. Very, very easy, not that complicated. Just need to know about your cross axis and your main axis, and you know about the flex direction. Very, very easy. So mind you, going back to the changes I made before, because there are some things we also need to know about Flexbox. For example, let me let me remove this. I think I want this to be at the center now. Where the align should be flex in, but I just use let me put center. Good. I'll place it at the at the center. I also want to remove to comment this out. I've commented this out. Then I also want to comment this out also. Good. So we need to know more about Flexbox. How things are done, especially for the Flexbox layout. There are some default layout that Flexbox automatically applies to our flexible container, depending on number one, the width of the content, the width of the content. Number two, the width provided, like when we added width. Remember, we added width. And number three, there's what we call the flex basics. The flex basics. And number four, we have the main width and the mass width. So these things are very, very important. So the flex direction is a property at that is written on the flex item. That means the children. The flex item. That means the children. Now see, we've provided the width, right? Good. So supposing we didn't provide this, let me comment this out. See what we have provided first. I didn't provide this. I didn't specify. So Flexbox on the priority list, it looked at the width of the content. So let me try and increase the size here. Good. So what Flexbox we does using layout is that it will look at the width of the content. This is the width of the content. You can see the width here. How many letters? One, two, three, four. You can see this. If this is not if this is not provided, if the width is not provided, it will default to this. Let's comment this out now. Good. You see, once this one is provided, it does not take knowledge of what was provided here. So everything now has 100 pixel. All these boxes are 100 pixel, irrespective of the content in it. So if the content is too small, it will break it down to the next line because I've specified that I want everything to be 100 pixel. Now remember the level of priority, the highest is this, right? The default value that you didn't provide anything, it respected this value. But now that you provided the width, it respects this. Now let's provide value for flex basis. Let's call it flex basis. Let me give it 150. Let's see what 150 good. You can see which value is respected now. Flex basis has been given. So the flex basis now increases because across the main axis, remember main axis. So the main axis, the flex basis is like this. For assume it was the cross axis that we did, the flex basis will increase the height. So the flex basis here will increase the width. So it has been given this particular value, right? can see how the priority increases as we proceed. Now let's check this other property. Supposing so in short, this one is not respected. The width is not respected. Then let's look at this other property called the let's say the mass width. Let's say the mass width, and let's give the maximum width to be 100 pixel. You can see it has default back to this max width. That means that it does no longer recognize the the flex basis, and at the same time it does no longer recognize the width. So the reason why I first wrote this thing is very, very important. Now, as we know flex boss, in order to know more about the flex width, the main width and the max width, we need to know learn more about this concept. Let me comment this out. I've commented these two properties, these ones out, because they're not actually relevant here. So there's a property called flex group. I can give it a value of 0. As we all know, computer just understand binary 1 and 0. 1 means on, while 0 means off. So flex, when I give it a value of flex group, what it simple implies is that this bus will not grow even if I increase the size. It won't grow. It will remain in the similar direction, in a similar position. Even though I increase the size, it won't grow. That's when we say flex growth. So there's another value called provided called flex strength. Strength has to do with reducing the size. Let me comment this out. Flex strength, let me also give it the value of 0. Good. I'm giving it the value of 0. Can see that it remained in the same place. The reason why the thing was moving, expanding before was because I forget to comment this property out so that this one will have meaning. So now at the same time, this flex, let me comment it out. Let me comment it out. I can just even give it a value of 0. Sorry. I'm giving the default value of 0. So now based on the width, you can see this one now has the highest this because the width size it cannot break it. This is just one word. It can't break it. I think this is the longest word. It's 7 letter word. So it's the longest. That's why it's having this similar this thing. I remember I've already given it flex growth of 0 and flex strength of 0. That means that strength has to do with the reduction, right? Has to do with the reduction. While grow has to be deals with the expansion. That means the maximum width. While string has to do with the minimum width. So now I can actually turn both of them on. How can I do that? I don't even need to. I can just provide the value of 1 here. So it will grow. I can also provide the value of 1 here. It will cover the full screen. So as the screen is growing, it's covering everything. But mind you, I may not want it to cover everything. I may want to give it a particular, I may want to restrict it to a particular size of the screen, right? What if I uncomment this out and and give everything 400 pixel? Oh, 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 oh. If I even give it 400 pixel, yeah, so it has to do with the size. Let me uncomment this out. Good. So from the parent div, let's try something here. Good. I want to see it become good. So I've already reduced the size. Yeah, I just wanted to check that out. So what I just did there is that I didn't want I wanted it to just occupy a certain width of the page anyway. So just a quick one. There's a shorthand way of writing this without you writing flex string and flex group. You can just write, comment this out, comment this out again, then just put flex, then one. And I can equally provide different value for everything, right? I can provide different. Flex one means that grow to one, string to one. I can even give some two. That means grow to two. If I give one, now let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. So now I gave all of them this initial value. I want to comment this out. Good. So let me give blue flex one. Good. Let me give this one flex two. Let me give this one flex two. Then let's give red flex two. Do you see what just happened now? So we've given them different flex. You see the one that has the least is blue. So let's just give all of them the flex of two. And so we gave each of them the flex of two. So don't mind the reason why this one is bigger is just because of the content. Because it is evenly you can see all of them are just within this box. You can see how they are expanding to cover the full width of the full width of the floor. You can see how I'm doing it. So that will be all for this video. In our next video, we'll be putting into practice media query and flexbox. If you find this channel educative, please endeavor to hit the subscribe button so that you can get notified when I upload new video. Thank you. Bye for now.